Hey, all right. So the first tale that comes after the general prologue is the Knight's Tale. That's actually the first tale that we're going to read. We're only reading a handful of tales, um, but we're going to start off with tales that focus on or have something to do with the code of chivalry and courtly love. Um, so this is going to be a little mini lesson on the code of chivalry. Pay attention, and as we go through the slides, there will be questions, so just answer the questions when they come up. All right. So the Code of Chivalry, or the Chivalric Code, was not actually a list of rules exactly. It was more of an understood list of rules. It was a moral system that extended beyond combat for the knights. It involved bravery, courtesy, honor, valor, great gallantry towards women. It was viewed as the honor code for the knight, and it was pretty much followed by all knights in medieval times. And it was expressed in the oaths and vows that they took to their liege lords, who were the people of the nobility whom they served. It's interesting because knights were expected to be very aggressive and skilled in battle. They were expected to demonstrate strength and warrior intelligence. But outside of battle, they were expected to like completely flip the coin and be chivalrous. And they had a very strict, like they had a lot of strict rules regarding etiquette and codes of conduct towards women. If you've ever heard of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, the King Arthur and the tales about King Arthur and Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere, all of those poems and ballads and epics really revolve around expressing this code of chivalry and this idea of courtly love. And the code was spread countrywide by wandering minstrels who would sing poems and retell epic poems like Beowulf, if you remember Beowulf. They would sing ballads and of strong knights and warriors and kings, and that is kind of what perpetuated or helped perpetuate this idea of the code of chivalry and courtly love. The code, the only time that the code, well, there were a couple of times that the code was kind of written down, but it was never written down as like, this is a list of rules that we have to follow. It was more written down as, this is what knights do, so we're going to call it a code. All right. So this particular list was described in an epic poem written around 1100 that was named the Song of Roland. Roland was a knight who was a grand knight, but who was betrayed, and this list of qualities and behavior was really like what described Roland. So knights were expected to fear God and maintain God's church. They were expected to serve their liege lord in valor and faith, to protect the weak and defenseless, to give succor to widows and orphans, to refrain from the wanton giving of offense, meaning don't be offensive, basically. They were expected to live by honor and for glory. They were taught to despise pecuniary reward, which means to not accept monetary reward for their behavior. They were expected to fight for the welfare of all, to obey those placed in authority, to guard the honor of fellow knights, to eschew unfairness, meanness, and deceit. They were expected to keep faith. They were expected to speak the truth at all times, to persevere in the end, to the end in any enterprise begun, to respect the honor of women, to never refuse a challenge from an equal, and to never turn their backs upon a foe. This is kind of like a shortened version of the Code of Chivalry as described in the Song of Roland. This particular list of traits was described by the Duke of Burgundy in the 14th century. Um, 14th century happens to be the 1300s, which is when Geoffrey Chaucer was alive and wrote the Canterbury Tales. So faith, charity, justice, sagacity, prudence, temperance, resolution, truth, liberality, diligence, hope, valor. Um, and these were qualities that knights were expected to possess and to express in their behavior. Despite this code of chivalry, knights still treated commoners and peasants poorly, and they still fought amongst themselves for honor and glory, just like they did in Beowulf. The higher you were standing, the better a knight you were, the more honor you received, the more you were, the more desirable you became. So when we read the Knight's Tale, we are we're going to keep coming back to this code of chivalry and to this list of character traits because there are two knights in the Knight's Tale, interestingly enough. And we're going to do some comparisons and see exactly how well these two knights uphold the code of chivalry.